Hey, GM fam, welcome back to another episode of Metaverse Spotlight. Today, I got Rufu in the house, and we're going to be talking about Trouble Down Under, and who knows what else will come up, but we're going to be checking out some exclusive behind-the-scenes insight into what they've been building. So, what up, Rufu?
Hey mate, how we doing?
Doing good, brother. For everyone that's tuning in that maybe doesn't know about you and what you've been working on with Trouble Down Under, do you want to just start this off by just giving us a quick little intro, and then we'll dive on into everything.
Yeah, sure. So, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Rufu. I'm an Australian. My studio, Roo Studios, has been working on the first infinite runner in existence in the Sandbox, and I mean infinite runner. Um, there's been concepts that come close to what we've been working on, but they're more timed events. They run out of after 5 minutes. Our game is the first true infinite runner. It's Australian themed. Um, It's got that aesthetic, it's got that feel, and yeah, it's coming along nicely. You know, what else is there to say?
Oh
Work with
yeah,
a small team of about 10, and it's all self-funded at the moment. So yeah, we've come a long way since the last time on the stream. That's for sure.
definitely. We'll get to sharing um, how far you guys have come. He was showing me
Might just
what it looked like, but it is looking awesome. So I'm excited to dive into it. Do you want to start by sharing, or do you want to kind of give us a little rundown of what Trouble Down Under is and um, what we're getting ourselves into? So I'll give
sure.
you the option there.
So I'll run through Trouble Down Under the lore behind this. So
Yeah.
Trouble Down Under originally was going to actually start with a social hub. Now we're going to use the social hub as what now is the social hub as a game, but it's too small, so that's just turned into a social hub. So now what we're doing is the first part of the game is a driving infinite runner. So you're supposed to drive for the Australian outback, and in the future it'll be changed to multi-biome. It's just game makers not playing ball at the moment, so it's just a long process to get that to work. But essentially, it's an infinite runner. Um, your only task is to survive, pick up coins, pick up lives, pick up boosts. It's one of those kind of Dookie Dash games.
Mm-hmm.
But the kind of lore behind it is you're just an outback traveler traveling from point A to B, and crazy stuff happens in the desert. Kangaroos come flying at you, cars come coming at you at all directions, and you've just got to survive for as long as you can. Now, once the first part ends, and no one can survive forever, it leads straight into part two, which is kind of its whole another concoction of just crazy Australian stereotypes mixed into a story that's just fun and also um, humorous. It's not meant to take Australia seriously. It's supposed to take the piss about a few things. Like, I'll give a hint. Part two, which we're not working on at the moment because it's going to be a separate huge build, will revolve around themes such as nuclear testing. So, wink, wink, hint, hint. You can kind of imagine there's going to be some crazy stuff pop up. Some
there
stereotypes.
Okay, and with that, I feel like you brought this up on the last one. So there was like nuclear bomb testing that was done in Australia. Is that?
Yeah, quite extensively by
Yeah.
the British. I think there are even you Americans did some as well. And that's kind of what sparked the rumor of drop bears and all that, radioactive kangaroos, and we're going to play into that. Just kind of make it kind of a meme in a way, but like it's a serious game, but it's like supposed to kind of mix history with fiction and create something that's both humorous and entertaining to play.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And so that'll be part two, is when we start getting into that.
Yep.
Dope. And then there's also gonna be a part three, if I remember correctly, right?
That is the plan. It just
Maybe.
depends on how the sandbox does and how the
Yeah.
studio does. Because at the moment we're completely self-funded. I'm funding everything out of my own pocket. and it's hard as an indie studio to do that without funding, or some sort of help in the marketplace. We'll get into this later with Catalyst and all that and what's going on there, but it's just hard at the moment. So it all depends on funding.
Totally. As an indie artist, developer, studio manager, founder, whatever hat you want to wear. What are some of the struggles that come along with that when you are trying to like figure out how to fund things? Because I think that's something that was important to talk about, and something that maybe people don't realize how much goes into creating games. If you're watching this from an outsider's perspective, and you've never tried to create a game, like what are you running into that is pretty limiting when you don't have the funding that you could use to do these things?
I would say we jumped into something with an idea which has evolved quite a lot. Like it used to be on a 1x1, now it's switched to a 2x2. Obviously, that's a lot more funding, a lot more effort and time and money to switch over to things like that. As an indie studio, we're also working on mechanics that have never been done before. Like no one's actually done, to my knowledge, a full infinite runner, like a true infinite runner before. So beta testing, refining, going back to the drawing board on mechanics that were basically just whiffed out of nowhere is just hard. Like OG Shakespeare's done a fantastic job. The guy's a legend when it comes to creating new mechanics, and I think everyone knows who he is. He's just a
100%.
legend in himself. But essentially, the other problem is like it's expensive to make all these assets. Like I'll show my screen in a minute to show all the assets that we're working on and everything. But like a simple asset could cost you $5, $10, $15 if it's really simple, but some of the assets we're using are quite complex. Like they're not easy to create, they're not easy to actually have in your game. Like, geez, if I wasn't working with the team I am, I wouldn't be able to afford this build. Like the kangaroos themselves are really high animation assets, and they were hard to make and get right. It took about 4 iterations of that, to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that times, 100 assets in a game or 50 assets or whatever. It costs a lot of money to make a game in the sandbox, especially if you're working with people in higher economic zones. Like it's hard, and it's time consuming, it's backbreaking, it takes a lot of time. A game maker update will come along after you've made everything and break it, and you've got to go back and do it again. And it's just hard work, but it's worth it in the end if you can make a product that people will enjoy. That's our goal, to make something people will enjoy, something that's different. It's not the traditional go to this area in a social hub and collect free things, or go help this person in the social hub, answer a question. This is something completely new that no one's done. It's what we want to do. We don't want to make a generic game that everyone's made. We want to do something that's completely different, which is good, but it also comes with its own challenges. Like you'll see when I show my screen how challenging the logic is. Like we've got like 50 logic nodes, I'd say. And that's just the beginning. Like we haven't even really touched the surface. We haven't moved into biome switching and all that, because that's planned.
Mm-hmm.
We just have a desert map. We want it to switch to forest and beach and then back. Like
That, I mean, that all makes sense though. Like that, when you're looking at like the costs of doing all of this, like you are fortunate to have a team that you are able to work with through all of that. But there's so much that goes into building a game, especially when it is something that isn't, like you said, like a cookie cutter, just basic, normal, run of your mill game. It's one that you guys are kind of thinking up and figuring out how to make possible inside of the sandbox. Yes, it is based like you are pulling from games that have been created before, but you're bringing it into the sandbox and figuring out how to do it most effectively, and to tell a story and hook people in and all that. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't always think about that goes into creating these games.
Oh, 100%, mate. And it's one of these things where it's just one of these things that are really frustrating because it takes a long time to get these games right. Like, we have a feature at the moment where I'll show it, but you drive on the side of the road, it damages your car. Like in real life, you drive on the shoulder of the road, it always damages your car. Especially Australian roads, they're just notoriously shit for this. But game maker broke block mechanics like damage, so we can't use that at the moment. So we've had to adapt quickly before the stream and just block that off so it can't be used, and disable block damage. But it was a really cool feature. It just sometimes these problems happen, and you just got to adjust to them. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, sometimes that does happen with Game Maker. But like you said, you just kind of have to roll with the punches and keep on trucking and figure out what what to do differently and how to overcome what broke, which sucks. And that's kind of what gets you back into, like, this is why you do need some sort of funding, because there is, in this stage of creating, especially, there is going to be things that are continually like breaking and needing to be updated. So like you are going to have to keep going back and spending time um, fixing things as well as creating things. So yeah, it is a a never ending battle, but one that, like you said earlier, is worth it, because you really do think you're um, and I think you are creating a game that is going to be more than just um, any one-off game. This is one that people are going to come to and want to keep coming back to playing more and diving into the storyline and all of that fun stuff. Um, so hell yeah. Maybe do you want to? Should we switch gears and dive into what you guys got going on and share your screen a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I think you've got it up.
Yeah, I'll swap them over here. Just taking a look at Steve. Isn't Yeah, Crocodile
Crocodile Steve.
Steve right
Yeah.
now. Um, go buy the Crocodile Steve hats. I think they're somewhere up here.
Yeah. Still got a few days. What's today's date? The 7th, I think. 7th, 8th today, my time, so it's the 7th your time. So you've still got 3 days. 200 sands up to grab for free lucky people. So, what, a $3.50 purchase that supports a self funded project, and you could win yourself, I think it's what, 60 something sand, maybe 80 sand. It wouldn't be 80 sand, 60 something sand, I'd say. 6, 12, 18, 65 sand maybe each. Maths is not my strong point today.
I think you're somewhere around the right number, though. That sounds about right. If your math is math, and math is not my strong point either, so I'm not going to even try and help you. but but yeah, go pick up. I mean, like you said, it's 8 sand for a potential to win more sand, more sand than
Yeah.
that.
And even if you don't, it's a really cool hat. Like, it honestly is being designed to fit any character, essentially, or almost any character. And I've seen some photos on Twitter of people enjoying the hat. So it's definitely worth getting, especially as a collectible, because you never know. Trouble Down Under definitely might not give you, definitely will give you perks when it comes to that hat outside of the contest. You might get exclusive invites to certain events or beta testing or other things. So there's definitely a usability there.
Hell yeah, I love that. Um, I don't have any sand in this wallet, but I'm definitely gonna pick one up after the show. um, I don't think I've ever looked this closely at it, and I just not like, sometimes it's tough to get wearables right. Like, there's a balance between them being like too busy and just right enough. And I think you crushed it on this one for sure. And I think it'll be a fun collectible to have. I love the idea of just having like a bag full of wearables and just swapping things out like all the time. That's kind of what I envision the metaverse as being, is completely like just changing your avatar, changing what you're wearing on your avatar, like all that stuff while you're playing all kinds of different games. So That's what's always had me super excited.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like everyone, you don't want to have a generic avatar where everyone looks the same. Like it's just boring. You want to have a Care Bear wearing a kangaroo hat, wearing a Crocodile Steve hat, wearing a Atari chest plate with, I don't know, Dr. Seuss shorts on. Like,
Yes.
just for example, you want to
Yeah.
have something, a crazy concoction that just completely like breaks the rules of the world. Like, and you never know what character you're gonna get, or in the future you could buy an avatar that maybe wants a hat or doesn't suit a hat, or maybe wants something else. So you can
Hmm.
always mix it up. So for 8 cents, $3, I think 90 or $3.50 US last time I checked, it's not a bad deal. I think OG Shakespeare knocked it out of the park when he did the final measuring on it, because I think I made the original a bit too small.
Oh, so it's a little. It does look a little. I mean, I kind of want to. Have you? I wonder
Um,
if
do I
this
have a
will work.
character that I can do it with? If I'll go to my desktop
Okay.
quickly and I'll
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
you.
I was gonna say maybe it'll be easier for you to do it on yours. I'm gonna. Should I swap over to your screen?
Yep, you can do it now. I just had to reopen Game Maker. You know what it's like. It likes to crash at the worst times.
Oh yeah. Always. Um, but yeah, so I wanna see the hat on just on somebody. I mean, I guess I could have showed the Crocodile Steve one, but it'll be fun to see him on a different avatar. And then also we'll get a chance to take a peek inside the game and see where it's at and where it's going. So I'm excited for all of that.
Oh, for
Uh,
sure, mate. Uh, let's do it this way. While I'm here, I may as well show which cars we've been working on. Because I think the last time you saw Trouble Down Under, we were using the Blaze cars, which we still are, two of them, but like we've come up with our own cars. So, uh,
Sick. Yeah, this is definitely more vehicles than last time.
yeah,
I,
and
I like the RV camper thing.
camper. Which one are you talking
I
about?
don't know what is that on
This
the right.
one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a
Oh,
Australian style safari outback tours bus. It's not textured at the moment, but yeah, it just feeds into into the lore of the game. Like we like doing things like as realistic as possible without invoking copyright. So this was actually based off the Wolf Creek safari vehicle.
mm.
So you'll see these a lot in Australia because some of the outback roads are absolutely fucking atrocious. I've been out to Uluru before, and you can't take a tour bus to Uluru. It has to be a specialized tour bus because normal tour buses will just get clogged somewhere.
Okay.
And this one doesn't have it, but a lot of the time they have big bull bars like this Ute here. Because if you hit a rural emu, you're ruining your car. Like it's going to take out your engine block. It's like hitting a stone wall.
Sure.
Like, yeah, it's yeah, this one's going to be retextured, and if the face limit allows us, we're going to do an interior as well for it, which will be cool. But the moment we're just using it like this because that's all we need it for in Trouble Down Under Part One. But this one was a complicated build.
It,
We
it, it
like to build
looks
in
quite
3D.
complicated,
Oh,
but
100%.
amazing.
There you go. That's the hat.
Oh,
It
there's the
doesn't
hat.
quite fit this character just because the stuff ambassador suits are a little bit weird, but it's pretty much on the money.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I
So,
mean, you got
you know,
like one little Z
yeah, it's just
fighting
that back
going, but
corner. Yeah, but it
it's all
fits
good.
every other avatar. Weirdly enough, it's just this one that particularly that just does not like. I don't know why, but just does not like. Obviously, we've got our main car here. Probably the most detailed of them all. It's got actually animations when it's moving as well. You can see the back kind of hook. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I love little details like that. Like that's what really brings um the sandbox to another level versus other like when I think of like Minecraft or something versus the sandbox. Like at first that was what I always thought it was going to be, is like it was just going to be like a Minecraft, but Web3. And then like the more I like realized it, I was like, okay, nothing like Minecraft, like similar, I guess. But like being able to add in like these different details and completely customize all of the different assets that we're putting in the worlds that we're building, like it's a uh, super cool metaverse that they're building here.
Oh, 100%. And it's at the end of the day, your creativity is just limited to what you can do, and what you come up with. Like the car here, for example, I don't know why that didn't work. I just turned the animation off on it, but always wait. This is actually based off the Wolf Creek car as well. So it's a what was it? F-150 1979 or 1970. It's modified with what they call the hunting rack. So what farmers used to do is go on kangaroo slaughtering kind of missions or cullings, and they'd kill, because kangaroos, they're so abundant. They'd tie their tails around these hooks, and each hook would have about 12 kangaroos to them.
Jeez.
Yeah. So you got your generator, we call it Nesky. You've got your toolbox, extra fuel, of course, and then your gun box. So it's all Australian themes. It's all about our game is heavily relying on the fact that we're selling the illusion that you're in Australia. Because there's
Yes.
no other game that has that Australian feel. So small things like, in this case, fitting the 1970s playing into the 1970s like image of Australia, adding like a hunting vehicle. It's all trying to sell that illusion. Like the next car along is we call it the Wombat, but it's based off a Holden Commodore. Obviously, it's different for copyright reasons, but this is a common car you would have found in Australia and up to about 2020. They still exist. They're pretty common still up here, especially in Queensland, but they no longer make this car anymore.
Okay, so it's the
But
one that people would like recognize and be like, "Oh, I remember those cars."
any Australian worth their salt has driven in one of these in their life at some point. I know I have. There's actually another version of this where you cut off this back passenger, and the whole back of it is just like a ute. Like it's a really weird car, but it's an Australian thing. We're gonna make that next, but essentially, cars like this, people haven't made in the Sandbox. They tend to stay to the European and US markets in terms of car design. So I want to make things that people haven't seen before, unique things. Like that's a huge staple of our studio. We don't follow the curve. We do our own thing, and we basically just continuously push what is possible. Like you can see how 3D these cars look, and these are all made out of voxels. So we push the limits without killing the face count and node count. I think all
That's
of these cars, except this one, are about 5,000 faces. So, and 200 nodes or 100 nodes. So, still acceptable.
that's insane that they're because like the level of detail on these compared to just other cars in general that I've seen, just as an example, like it's crazy how much more detail you really can add if you do it the right way. So I mean, and I'm just speaking from from observation. I have no idea how to make things this detailed in box edit, but you have some studs on your team that definitely know how.
I work with some very talented guys from the Middle East that do these assets for me. Um,
Nice.
Mr. Selective's one of them. He's the head of the studio, and honestly, he is a legend when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, um, his team just nails it. They'll get these done in 10 or so days for me, and the way they nail the
Crazy.
wheels and the interiors, like a lot of cars in the Sandbox don't have interiors, so for them to do that and stay within the face count and make them realistic is crazy. But the next car is what we call a Suzuki Jimmy. Um, so all these cars have weird names. We don't, for copyright reasons, obviously,
Yeah.
we change the cars enough so they're their own unique. But this one's inspired by the Suzuki Jimmy, um, but it's called the Juice Box. So we've got the Wombat, the Juice Box, and it's just a small little car. The scaling could be a little bit better on it, I'll be honest, but essentially it's just a small two-seater with a big boot, and it's meant to go off-road. Like these things are off-road cars. They're four-wheel drive. They can take a beating essentially. So it's a nice little car to have. Um, you know, and again, it's one of the newer ones, so it's got quite unique interior to it.
I love that there's the added interior. Like that really I feel like adds to the immersiveness. And that's one thing that I'm a huge fan of is when I'm playing games. Like I love to get immersed into them and just like get sucked into like how good the graphics really can be. So whenever you go that extra mile and you have like the the chain that was on the back of the hunting vehicle over there moving around, and then like the inside of all these, the interiors like actually built out, like it really does add a lot. And, and what hat do you have on right now? I love this one.
I'm actually not sure who made this. I'll see if it says it in the description. No, it's not going to say who made it. God damn it. Someone sent me this, so I just thought I'd put it on as a funny, kind of unique hat. I think
Yes.
it's on the marketplace still. I can't remember if it's all sold out or whatever, but yeah, really nice hat as well. Next car is based off a Land Cruiser. Oh, this is actually outdated. One of the cars has disappeared. This is based off a Land Cruiser, but it's obviously way different for copyright reasons. This is a very common car you'll find in the outback. Very rugged, basically just meant to go off road, meant to, basically survive where other cars can't. And yeah, it's got the full interior package as well, which is quite nice.
It is pretty dope.
Just see if I can find this other car quickly because I don't know why it disappeared on me. Shipping container. You can see we've got a lot of assets here to kind of screw around with. A lot of them you've seen before. Some of them are brand new and haven't been used. What happened to my cars? I just don't know where this one car's gone. It's my favorite car, and it's there it is.
Oh, Bert chimed in the chat. The hat that you're wearing is for the Soccer World Cup by Hermit Games. At least
That makes sense.
that's what he recalls, or he thinks he thinks he has one too.
Yeah, they're really cool car. I think OG Shakespeare might have sent me that one because I definitely didn't earn that hat. Okay, there we go. So now it's back in. I don't know why it just. So this is based off the same car, Land Cruiser, but this is called a Land. So the Land Cruiser we call the Compensator.
Okay.
At the moment, that's its running name. But again, this is based off the same car in real life, but it's being heavily modified. So this is essentially just you take a Land Cruiser 79 and then you basically add an extension on the back. So on the back, you keep extra fuel generators, storage space, I might end the face count on this one is ridiculous. It's almost 6,000, so it's hard to add anything more to it. As you can see, it's a really realistic build. We've got another version of this coming in a coffee color, different variants, but essentially this is designed to go off road as well. Normally, you'd have the same kind of roof rack system on it as well, but just for face count, we couldn't add it. But it's a really cool car to have. But for copyright reasons, everything's been changed on it. It's very custom, and it's got its own unique name as well. This one's called the Rugged, if I remember correctly.
The Rugged.
Yeah.
That one's pretty. I like that one. I would drive something like that into the outback.
Sorry, the Beast. This one's the Beast.
Okay.
That's right. I got
Beast
the names
mode.
wrong. So we come up with our own names to them just as a unique thing. They've all got weird names. It's all going to subject to change, but this will come in a few colors, and some of the other cars will have different colors as well. This
I
car
was gonna
here,
say they're gonna be different colors or cosmetics
yeah.
that like maybe like a different decals or something that could get added on the hood.
Oh yeah, we're gonna fiddle around with them. Like we've got our Australian animal collection coming, so that's the focus at the moment. But
Hmm.
these cars are being designed for trouble down under. They haven't necessarily been designed for sale yet.
Sure.
because things like we're waiting for glass to come in, Fox Edit. So all these cars are going to need to be redone, and that's why we've got interiors, because we know it's coming. We just got to wait for it to actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when Trent's parent blocks hit the Sandbox, all of these cars will be updated. They'll be given more animations. Like they've already got a few of them, but opening doors, different animations, all that. So we focus on high-end assets. So as you can see, we don't just cut corners.
Yeah, I love
This
that.
last asset is a work in progress, so just ignore it. It's going to completely change. This is going to be based off a Ute, an Australian Ute. So the whole front of it's going to have to change. So it's just a work in progress. And then we got the
Okay.
2 Blaze cars as well. And the reason these are still in is because Blaze Studios is another Australian studio, and it's kind of like a homage to them.
Yeah,
You know,
I can see that. I like that.
they made the original high end cars, and we followed in their path. So gotta pay respect to where you've come from.
100%. These are pretty freaking dope, though. And I could see you guys having like some sort of like racer game and utilizing all those, and maybe then like you could have different hoods and stuff like that eventually, like in some sort of game. I don't know the mechanics on all of that, but I feel like eventually it'll be possible. So that'd be cool to see maybe someday.
Well, they are working on a mounting system. It's this year or late, somewhere next year. It's supposed to come out. They did mention it in the AMA ages ago, so that'll make our cars actually drivable.
Nice.
Um, You'll see it in Trouble Down Under, which I've just loaded up. You have to use workarounds because there's no actual car system. So cars don't work exactly how they should in real life. You've got to work around it. But yeah, this is the basics of Trouble Down Under. On the surface, it doesn't look too different from what we did in the first build, but there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot that's changed since I last showed it on stream. We updated the telegraph poles, changed it to a 2x1. We're using extending paneling method to make it look bigger than what it actually is. Um, a lot more logic in there, more assets spawning, more complex assets patterns. So it's all randomized, which is hard to do with a logic score system, coin collection system, a live system. Like we've got it all. Like this is a true infinite runner with a tutorial system. So I won't babble too much. I just wanted to show the logic, but
That's a lot. That's more logic than I've ever placed in one experience.
oh, and this is one thing. Game Maker like this. See how the camera's not straight on?
Yep,
It's Game Maker being, quirky. So yeah, we got to work with what we got. But essentially, we've got a full tutorial system that you can skip, but it's always good to play it through at least once. It just tells you
definitely.
basically the basics of the game, and I think a good game will have this.
A
So it
hundred
doesn't
percent.
baby the driver, it doesn't baby the player, but it also gives them an idea what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. If a game doesn't have something like this, I get really frustrated because I I tend to not read anything before I dive into games. I just want to play them, but I want to like get kind of walked through quickly so I understand what kind of game I'm playing and what the concept is. So like something like this is crucial in my opinion. So I love to see that you guys have it. And yeah, just as simple as this. And now you're going.
Yeah, so I don't know what's happened to the music. I did set the music up. I did set up a few other things. Um, I'll fix it in a minute. But essentially, we're going to have its own custom music. When that comes in, at the moment, we can't add custom music, but I've actually talked to a guy to add like what do they call it, didgeridoo like dubstep music in. So it'll have its own
Nice.
theming. We just got to wait for the sandbox on that one. It's not, you're not allowed to add your own sound at the moment. But basically, as you can see, we've got all our cars spawning in. Kangaroos coming from one side. You have emus and other objects as well. Eventually, it's just Game Maker is a bit restrictive at the moment in what we can do. So you just got to wait for the next update. But you'll see trucks coming behind you. So it's just chaotic. Obviously, you hit an emu, you lose a life. So it's like
Can you
survive as long as you can.
Can you speed up and slow down to go forward and backward, or are you right on that plane and that's it?
So with Game Maker, the only way to make it work, I'm gonna have to fix the logic again. I don't know why it didn't save what I did before stream, but with the logic, essentially, it's the background moving towards you to sell the illusion, not the
Mm.
character moving
So you're
backwards
not
and
moving
forward.
at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're moving side to side, not forward and backwards.
Gotcha.
So the reason that is the way it is because it's the only way to do it. There is limitations in what we can and what we can't do, and we found that this is the best way to do it.
How come you can move side to side but not front to back?
So if you're looking at my screen, see this blue box?
Yep.
See how you can only move within a certain perimeter? So basically, these are invisible tiles. So you're
Oh.
forced to stay within the box. So it sells the illusion without breaking the game. Because if you could move forward and backwards, it'd be way too easy.
Oh, okay. Okay. That
So
makes
it's to
sense
give
too.
it difficulty level as well. So it's
Yeah.
just in the future we want mouse control so you can actually move more like a car. It's moving side to side, so it's not moving like a player. It's just we're waiting on features from the sandbox. So we're
Mm.
working with what we got, but still, it's pretty amazing when you
Mouse.
know how much effort's gone into this.
Yeah, definitely. And when you say mouse control, would that be more like Dookie Dash?
Yeah, Dookie Dash controls essentially.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're trying to move towards. But again, it's all down to what the sandbox does. We have to work with what we've got, the hand we've got, and unfortunately, it's not ideal, but it still works. Like, don't get me wrong, it fully works. It's just we're working with a system that's imperfect because Game Maker's still being developed. Things are being broken. Like I mentioned about the shoulder of the road, and we had a lot of VFX in there for like nighttime thunderstorms and all that, and that's had to be removed because all the VFX
Mm.
got removed. Just trying to find one thing. Sorry. Um, where is it? Sets value. Okay, here it is. That's what I want to change. 20. Right. Sorry
Um,
about that. I just had to
no, you're
change.
good. I was reading the chat, so it was quiet, but I was also um distracted. Bert also chimed in and said that his ex-girlfriend works with indigenous bands from up your way and did express an interest in doing some TSP music a while back. If you're interested, I can reconfirm and connect you if you wish.
Oh, 100%. We're self-funded, so I can't like promise that that we can make it happen. But I'd definitely like to have some indigenous music playing. To kind of pay homage and also fit the theme of the game. Um,
Hell yeah.
yeah, as you saw there, I just skipped the tutorial, so you can see that's a feature as well. The reason we did this is so that new players that have played a few times have the option to skip it and get straight into it. So it's just the cool little things like that distinguish our game, especially in an infinite runner. You want to have that ability to skip things if you've already done it, especially tutorials. I don't know why
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
lagging all of a sudden.
definitely.
Um,
Shout out Turbo Timmy tuning in on over on X. This is the first time I've seen a comment come through from X. So I didn't know that X comments came through on StreamYard. So yay. I don't know if they're changing things and it's working now or what, but what up, all the X watchers?
G'day, Timmy. How you doing, buddy? Um, he's another Aussie up my way. I'm pretty sure he's up. Yeah, he's definitely up my way. Um,
I got a
yeah,
couple Aussies in the chat.
yeah, we all stick together. There's not many of us in the sandbox. I don't know if it's my internet or my computer carking it, but there's a bit of problems going on with my system. I don't know why it's doing this. It's not the game. It's probably my computer's shitting the brick. But yeah, essentially the game runs really smoothly. We've tested it up to about an hour. So if I set my lives up to 100 and just let it play, it's continuously ran for about an hour. And as more time goes on in this game, it gets harder. So it gets way, way,
Okay.
way harder. So it's still getting refined. It's still a work in progress, but it gets way, 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 way harder.
Dope. How far have you made it as far like without um not like without adding like extra lives and stuff, but just like on a normal playthrough? How long do you think is
I
like
think I
good
made it
to?
to 30,000 score, but I'm pretty bad at this, to be honest. So, um, 30,000 is very achievable, and that's without boosting lives. When I boost the lives, I think I got way into the 300,000s.
And it how does it track your score?
Uh,
I'm trying
so
to see.
basically, the
It's a
score
little
is based
small on
off.
my screen, but
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure
the
they can
score
see
is
it.
based off distance. So essentially, it's based off time. So each second you live, you get 100 points. So it's the same system as like Dookie Dash.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
That's what I figured. But oops, clicked on the wrong one. Turbo Timmy says that he's seen snippets of this experience being built and looks like it's going to be a fire game. Indeed, I think we can all agree on that after seeing these uh these sneak peeks as well.
100%. I'll just show you quickly because I haven't shown you yet. But you can also flip other drivers off, which is a cool kind of thing. Yep.
I love that. Is that with the attack button?
Yep. So that's what the attack button does.
Yes. See, like little things like that, like go a long way. Um, One thing that just popped into my head, just because like this is very similar to Dookie Dash, and I feel like, I mean, a lot of the stuff that they're doing could maybe like translate over. Have you have you seen like how they're doing like UGC stuff where they're allowing creators to sell assets to use inside of the game? Do you think that's something that not necessarily that it would have to be this game, but this is just what it brought in my head. Do you think that's something that games could do, where they could actually allow outside of the studio creators to add things into the game and sell things for those games?
Possibly, but I would say it's going to be a few years if that's going to happen, because that's kind of a lot of things to put in one. Like,
Yeah, as I was talking it out, it was getting more and more complicated in my head as I was thinking about it, and I was like, I feel like I feel like maybe it's something that could happen eventually, but there would be a lot of hoops to jump through right now to figure out how to make all that work.
yeah, like Trouble Down Under uses a lot of logic that exists, but we also stretch logic to ways that and assets to ways that they're not designed to. Not necessarily a bad thing, but when you do it like that, you're definitely taking risks, and doing something like that would be a huge risk because it could break your game in a lot of ways. It might also come into legal problems with the sandbox potentially. So I'd be hesitant to do it until I had a full picture of it, but it could be something that could be done, I reckon,
Hmm.
but it would be a few years away. Um, but there's one more thing I wanted to bloody talk about. I can't remember this. If you guys are seeing lag, by the way, it's my computer dying. I can see it on my second screen. It's just completely. It's because I'm sharing my screen. That doesn't like when I do it. But essentially, yeah, this can go on forever, which is why it's so unique in terms. Besides its theming, is that this game just goes on and on and on. It doesn't need to stop. So as long as you can keep playing and survive, it will keep going. So
I
it's
love
really good.
I
So
love
you
that
go.
because I can get addicted to games like this that just keep going and going and going. So
I think if it was included in an alpha season, it would be good because it's harder to cheat in it because essentially we've got what 4 metrics to run off. So if you can't really cheat it like people have been doing the last seasons because it's not just a time element; it's a score system. It's also coins, so it makes it harder for people to do it.
yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying because you would have to get the high scores. You would have to be maneuvering and actually getting coins
Yeah,
and
and
surviving.
because we've got random patterns. It's not the same. It's generated randomly. It's got like, I don't know, 10, 20 cycles it runs through for each car. it's hard to run a bot or something that can do it automatically. So, that's why we've designed it like this, to be alpha compliant if it ever came to that. Maybe it'll never go that way. We never talk to the Sandbox about adding it. It's just like chucking sticks here that,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
I think it would be a good addition to an alpha season.
yeah, it might give us good funding. I'd love them to do a season where basically, instead of them making their own games and partner games, it's a community alpha season. Like the last season should be like a community one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and essentially, what the studios gets depends on how many people play it.
Yeah.
So it's still a pass system, but essentially, yeah, I would love to see that kind of stuff done, because I think a game like that would be well suited because it's very unique. And obviously, we've got a full night and day system as well in it, so it also adds difficulty. And when fog comes back, we'll be adding fog and lightning storms and all these other weather events. And eventually, we also want to add a forest biome. So
A
you
brush
basically
fire, or
drive.
yeah, a forest
Yeah, so
fire.
you've got
That was
bushfires going on using VFX as well, and it just, if we had the funding, we could do this so much quicker. But we're working off what we got, and I think that's what a lot of studios need to understand, or new studios, is you got to work with what you got. And it'd be nice if we had more money, but or funding or support. But at the end of the day, you just got to work with what you got, and make deals, outreach to people. So I'm just gonna have to stop this because it's just gonna kill my PC. Um, I'll reopen it in a minute. I just got to let my laptop cool down a bit.
yeah, it's all
Um,
good. Um,
Essentially, you got to work with what you got, make these relationships, talk to other studios, and just you know reach out for other help from studios when you need it, because people like yourself and I can name a million other studios that have helped me in the last 2 months. They're your greatest asset to
mhm.
leverage, and don't abuse it, but like you can use these studios to help grow your brands and help you develop and get them to test things for you and help you with mechanics. And yeah,
Totally.
like
And we're all working at this together, which I think is the really cool thing, is that helping each other out and helping each other start to succeed is only going to help grow the amount of attention that is on the sandbox at a whole, which is naturally going to then help all the different studios out, because there'll be new eyes on all of the different stuff that's going on. So as long as you're building cool shit and building stuff that people will want to play, that the people will come, as long as we help each other and lift each other up and um, start showing the world like what the heck's going on over here, because it is getting cool, it is getting exciting, it's getting to the point where you can see games like your guys' Infinite Runner coming out, where you're like, wow, like somebody was able to like create this and they didn't have to know how to code at all, which I think is super dope. And they were able to build all of the assets that are inside of the game with this free tool, which is Vox Edit. And like it's a super cool time to be a part of this, and it can be tough at times, like you're saying. I mean, it always comes back to like needing more funding and all of that, but like that's the tough part, but it's also kind of the part that really makes this transitional period that we're going through so special, is that it connects people more whenever it is a little bit tougher, and it's not so easy to just do whatever you want kind of thing. So we'll look back at this time and be excited and happy that we went through what we had to go through to get to where we are whenever we get to the other side.
100%. It's just a process. Like it takes time to get this stuff working. It's not simple. Like I think a few people come into the Sandbox thinking it's easy money. It's not about the money, in my opinion. It's about the journey and how you got there and building these relationships that last. Okay. Yeah, this is not going to work. I was just trying to share my screen again. Looks like my computer's just not having it today.
Oh, it's all
Um,
good. I mean, we got a good chunk of footage of it, so I think people got a good taste and know what to expect, and hopefully are excited. Do you have any thoughts, or not thoughts? Do you know when abouts people will be able to start playing? I know it sounds like things are broken again, so you're gonna have to go back and fix those. But like, is there like, obviously, like, it'll be a rough timeline, but how far out into are you guys looking before you, fingers crossed, hopefully, have it all up and running so people can play?
it's up and running at the moment. Like you could play it perfectly fine as it is right now. In terms of full completion, um, it's hard to say because we're running everything out of our back pocket, and you know things are tight. Like I got to go for an MRI next week, and that's $500. So
Mm-hmm.
off a single salary, it's hard to like pay for all of this in one. So I would say sometime this year be fully complete or close to, but late this year. But it's fully playable as it is right now. Like
Yeah. So
game maker's always quirky. It causes problems, but it's not like it's not playable at all. Like the lag that you were seeing before is just my computer being shite. I probably
totally.
need to update to a new computer, because it only does it when I share my screen. It did it on OG Shakespeare the other day, but yeah, no, definitely we hoping to have it published sometime this month. Um,
Nice.
as I
Do
kind
you,
of said before, because I'm staff, it looks like I'm not going to be able to participate in the new game maker system. Still waiting to hear back on that one, but it is what
I
it is.
hate that and don't think it's right. Um,
Yeah, same here.
Sandbox, if you're listening to this, I think you should rethink that. Um,
I put the same thing in. Like as I was saying to you earlier, what advantage does staff have here? Like I know people don't like staff getting paid by the sandbox in events, but like in this case, we worked hard on something. Don't punish my team because the money from this is supposed to go to my team. That's what it's supposed to pay for. It's not going to my pocket. It's going to my team. So it's punishing my team for working hard and innovating. So did write an email in saying, "Hey, can you reconsider this?" But we never know if they'll change it. But it's one of the things I don't agree with the rules like this. But we got to play to the rules, so I can't complain too much. They did make it clear
yeah,
that this was the way it was going to be. So if it is that, it is what it is. Can't really carry a grudge about it. But regardless, I think we'll have it up by the 20th of this month, probably before that. It'll be published on a land, so you'll be able to play it freely. And for the first 30 days, it's going to be only for, unless we get in the Game Maker Fund somehow, uh, the new program is going to be open to only people with the Crocodile Steve hat. It's
mm,
another incentive to actually buy one because you get access to something that no one else has. So it's worth buying for 8 sands. It is beta testing, but you get to play something that's fun and no one else has access to unless they own the hat. So we're trying to drive that incentive for people to buy them. Like looking at your screen, there's 55 left. It's pretty reasonable, 8 sand or $3.55 at 58 USD. Like
totally. I think this is a great price point, and I think it's something that people should jump on. Just to, like you said, it's going to give you access to help test out these games as they continue to get grown and built, and it's supporting an awesome team to continue to produce games that y'all will enjoy playing. So, and 8 sand, like says right here, like four, not even $4, US dollars. So um, I spend more than that on a coffee, almost,
yeah,
not
like
daily, but often.
you think about it this way. I always look at things like how much of enjoyment am I going to get versus the time. Like that's how I work things in my head. So, do you want a game that you can play infinitely for a month? $4. Geez, that's pretty good. Proposition when most games go for $90 or something. If you're buying like COD or something, it can be even more. I don't know about the US, but at least here it's like $120 now. It's ridiculous. But I think it's a good value proposition to anyone, but that's just my personal thing. And then after that month, it'll be opened up to the public, and it, yeah, like eventually I'd love to do like a competition with Trouble Down Under where we have a like weekly events where it's like who can make it the longest, and it's almost like a road trip competition.
You
Like
took the
one week,
question right out of my mouth.
like something like that. Like the
Yeah.
first trip could be Melbourne to Sydney, then Sydney to Brisbane, then Brisbane to not Darwin, Brisbane to Townsville, then Townsville to Darwin, then Darwin to Alice Springs to Perth, Perth around through to Melbourne. Like legs like that, and theme it
Hmm.
differently each week. Like that could be a workaround while we're waiting to the sandbox to add features or fix things in game makers. Just doing individual builds.
Yeah.
Um,
You could even like just brainstorming on the spot. We only got a couple minutes left, so I'll make it quick. But you could even do like a token gated season where there's those different legs of the race, and just to raise a little bit of funds, and do it similar price point. I don't know, maybe a little bit more depending on what the prize pool is going to be, but then take like a portion of the funds that you bring in from that token, whatever it is, Crocodile Steve shoes, and and then put that into the prize pool for the people to be competing for, or something along those lines. um I don't
that's
know, just
actually on our bucket list, to be honest. Um,
nice. I think it's
it's
something totally
we would
doable.
would love the sandbox. I've got to talk to them about it. It's not something I'd expect them to do, but almost like a mini alpha season or its own contest funded by the sandbox or help with the sandbox, where we'd sell a pass for the first leg. So each leg would have its own pass. Highest score with the most coins and all that would, win. And it'd be like the first 5 people would get rewarded, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
exactly.
it would be exactly what Turbo has just said. It'd basically be gated, it'd be regulated. You'd have to pass KYC, it'd have its own passes, and I don't know, 10 or 20% of the tokens gathered or funds gathered from it will go back to the community. So it'd be self sustaining.
Hmm.
And that's what we want to do, but it just comes down to how do we do it? Can we afford to do it?
Yeah,
Will people buy it? Because we don't want to promise something that we can't deliver on. So that's what I'd say. It'd be nice if the sandbox funded like little contests like this, or even if it
yeah.
was an official sandbox contest, but it was run by Roost Studios. That would be something we'd look into. But it's a bit down the track because we've probably got about, let's say, 2 months of work ahead of us before we could do something like that, or even think about doing it, just because of game maker breaks and all that. Like the reason we have that shoulder damage on the shoulder of the road is to make sure that people can't cheat. Our game is designed to stop people cheating or trying to find exploits. That's why you're cramped in that confined space where you can only move side to side. It's to stop cheating. So when the shoulder block damage comes back, um, it'll make it even harder again. So when that comes back, we can start thinking about context. So I'm babbling, but
Hell
yeah.
yeah. No, you're not. I mean, you're giving us the details that we're looking for. So, that was good. Um, I think we can kind of start wrapping it up here, though. I do like trying to keep these right around an hour. So, if you have any last words for anybody, I'm gonna give the stage to you, and then we will say goodbye. And we look forward to getting our Crocodile Steve hats on and checking this game out in the near future.
Yeah, I would say keep an eye out on the marketplace. We've got all those Australian assets to sell. Um, obviously minting is not what it is, but I've heard that things are going to change soon. So with Catalyst, so essentially keep an eye out for um, the kangaroos, the crocodiles, the emus, dingoes, all of those will be available on the marketplace and will be fairly priced. High-end animation, so definitely worth getting. And again, it supports my studio and helps my team bring more content to you because we're self-funded. We're fully self-funded, and it's the only way we can make money. It doesn't go to my pocket; it's going to my team. So, yep,
Hell
keep an eye
yeah.
out for that.
And that's the only way that studios like Roof Studios is going to continue to be creating games that y'all want to play, is if you support them and keep the sand energy flowing. You get sand from competing in different events and competitions, and then re-stimulate a little bit of that back into the ecosystem by buying some things from some of your favorite studios and let it keep circulating. That's the whole idea of this whole
I know
economy.
Dr. Bombus rewards will be. I don't know the date, but it'll be sooner rather than later. So why not, give a little bit of sand and help support an Australian studio that's just, doing its own thing and struggling. Not to sound like I'm begging for money, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. No, I mean it's the reality that a lot of us are in, and it shouldn't be something that you're ashamed of or anything, and it should just be known that these studios like yourself do need the support of their community and the players that are excited to play their games. It's just like any other Kickstarter uh, situation where I'm trying to like a startup. You need people that believe in what you're doing in the beginning, or else you don't get anywhere.
Oh, 100%. And like a lot of people think, oh, that's not a big update from the original. Today's whole stream is we've made huge progress. There's a lot more coming. We're working slow because we don't have the funding to do it all in one, but this is game changing. This is new. This is infinite. This is mechanics that we were told that we were not able to do. Game Maker Fund told us originally that we weren't able to do this. This mechanic shouldn't exist. You shouldn't try it. It will not work. But we've proven them wrong. We've done something new. And yeah, I thank you for bringing me on the stream today.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to see this innovative game and get to play it. So I'm, like I said, gonna for sure be picking myself a Crocodile Steve hat. And um I know we were just about to say goodbye, but I just noticed, so if you do have time, I wanted to get to this question and I forgot to bring it up. Just because I think it would be helpful if somebody does know. So Pickaxe Master earlier in the stream said, "Do any of you know if the game rules run on the server or on the client? Would be much safer hacker-wise if the rule system runs on the server." I have no idea, but I figured might as well throw it out there for you, Rufu, in case maybe you do.
So you're saying, are you asking if once it's published it works on the server, or is he asking if
I think
it's
once it's
been?
published, I think.
One would assume it would work off the server. One would assume, but again, this would be a question for Cyber Dragon because he is the one that works in that area. It's a little bit harder to kind of ascertain what's going on, but like if you've looked into GameMaker, it does have a high packet like send over rate. It sends a lot of data to the sandbox. It used to be a lot worse. It's actually got better, but based off that, I would assume it would work off server, not the client, but depends if it's multiplayer. Could change that again. So yeah, I'm gonna defer that question to
Yeah,
Cyber Dragon.
yeah.
That's the one to
I
ask.
like the deferral, and that was who I was thinking as well. I took a screenshot of this where we're at right now with the question on the screen. So maybe I'll tweet it out afterwards and tag Cyberdragon and see if we can get an answer from him.
Yeah, it is a security question. So again, I'm guessing. I don't know the answer, but they might not answer it because it is a security
True.
question. Because people, if they know how to cheat the system or get a hint at it, they'll try. So
Maybe I'll just DM Cyber Dragon and then I'll tell you.
Yeah,
X
just
Master.
what are you up to, pickaxe? Huh? You trying to break the system? You trying to break into trouble down under? Huh? You cheeky bugger.
I think he's probably worried about people hacking into their system because they've got all kinds of like randomization stuff going on too. Getting a cheat engine is very easy. We have to outsmart them 100%. All right, y'all. Well, that was just a last minute curveball question that neither of us know the answer to. But thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in, being here in the chat. If you're over on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, thank you so much for the support. It means a lot. And if you are catching the replay, let me know in the comments your favorite thing about the stream. If you have any questions for Rufu, drop those in the comments too. Thank you, Rufu, for being here. It's always fun chatting with you, and I'll look forward to the next time you reach out and let me know that things are even one step closer, or hopefully by the time in a couple months you're reaching out saying that it's time. Everyone with Crocodile Steve hats, get in there and play, and we can go play it and stream about that and see it all live and in the living color. So thanks, man, for coming on. I appreciate
No problem,
you.
buddy.
Hell yeah. I'm going to end it now and see if I can figure out how to raid. Last time I couldn't figure it out, but if I can, I will. Thank you guys so much. And I will talk to everyone later. Bye.
Layers, everyone.